Okay, Ariane, looking at your macro photo shots here. So these thumbnails look good on the front here. Let's see how you got it nice and tight, looks like. Okay, let's start in on your first shot here. Let's look at the photo details. Okay, so you have Panasonic Lumix. Okay. um, okay, as I'm looking at this picture, the unless the you intended it for the light to be somewhat on the dim side, you could have, if you wanted to, when we were working on the landscape assignment, there was that exposure compensation. This is a perfect spot where you could do a little bit of the plus exposure compensation, like plus 0.7 or plus 1 might have really brightened this up. I see the ISO speed's at 1600. That's good because it looks like it's in low light. And the aperture f2, that's really nice on that particular camera, that you can have such a wide open aperture. Okay, and also, most of the point and shoot cameras like that, you can get in really nice and close, just like you did here. That really turned out quite nice. Yeah, I love this kind of an angle on this too, especially with the petals of the flower leading you in to the center of the flower there. But once again, the same kind of thing here. Everything looks great, but if it was just a little bit brighter, and perhaps doing that with the exposure compensation, could have gotten things just a tad bit brighter and had a little bit more impact and also a little bit more vibrancy with the color and the flower. And this is nice. I like this particular shot. I wish I had a little bit more exposure so that you could see a little bit more detail up here. But I'm looking at the same thing here too. But I'm glad that you're shooting at 1600. And the camera, by shooting at 1600, you're at least getting a nice faster shutter speed that you've got here, 125th of a second. Okay, with this one, it's nice that you can get an even a little bit closer. You got to close to the point where it got to the things in the foreground got to be a little bit out of focus, so you could really push as far as how close you can get in on something. So that's good. This is nicely composed, very much like this, but also just like I mentioned before, the exposure compensation. This little yellow blob of the flower right here would really be have some impact, especially since you got a little bit of the blue of something back in the background back there. That would have really picked up the colors there. This is I really like this. This is especially that you're kind of in between the petals of the plant here, and you also see a little bit of the stem. Really nice, and then you can see whatever kind of lighting is over here is really illuminating this right here. And this is nice, but once again, if it was just a tad bit lighter with that exposure compensation. And now in a scene like this, where you have something that's more of an average, I guess, value, instead of being something really, really light in color and value like the flower, the white flower, here's something, with your cat that's a little bit more in the average range, and then the exposure here looks more normal. So that turned out quite nice. And you can see even here at 1600, your shutter speed's down at a 15th of a second, and so fortunately your cat was holding still enough that the fur was able to show up here. Okay, now something like this, the lighting's a little bit dimmer. And so this is one of those things too. I would have preferred to see it just a little bit brighter, using the exposure compensation. But in a case like this, the assignment really is all about how close can you get to things like this. And so here you are being able to get in really close on this particular ring here. Good. Okay. And I'm at 1600 is really nice because then you have enough shutter speed so that you're not introducing any camera shake. Okay, now in a shot like this, let's see, now your ISO's down at 400 on this one. And I guess this looks like some sort of keyboard. And your shutter speed down at 1/8 of a second. So perhaps you were resting it on something and steadied it and was able to give you that slower shutter speed here. Okay. And also being able to get in nice and tight on whatever this is. I'm not sure what that is. And I guess this looks like a fuzzy doll character of some sort. Okay, hard to see. Okay, now back to the cat. Okay, yeah, so definitely in terms of a sense of scale, like this one I at least have an idea of how big it is versus like I have no idea how big or small this is, so it's hard to say. But in this one right here, getting it nice and tight with the cat there. Good. And also something like this too. Always whenever you're shooting something like this where you've got backlight coming in from behind your subject, that can always throw off a little bit of the lighting. But here it actually looks, the lighting and everything looks pretty good. It could be just a tad bit lighter, but not bad. And very nice on this one to be able to get in nice and close and see the stitching. That worked out very nice. Okay, let's go to the next one. And this one, I really like the sort of the designy look to this particular fabric of whatever this is right here. And the fact that the depth of field is so shallow blurs out the background and adds to the effect, especially that this part right here is in nice sharp focus and then everything else is blurred. Is very nice. You could probably just, if you were doing any cropping, you could probably crop off a little bit off the top here, but otherwise this diagonal composition works very nice, and the exposure looks really good too. 1/6 of a second, so if you were hand holding, you had a pretty steady hand. That turned out quite nice. Okay. So your macro shot's very nice. The main thing is to discover how close can you get when you're shooting with your camera, and it looks like you found out. The only thing that I would recommend is on the shots where you have the flower with that has a lot of the white petals and things, that you do a little bit of exposure compensation towards the plus side so that you get a little bit brighter image. But other than that, well done, and thanks for doing such nice work.